You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for 16 and Pregnant. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's 16 and Pregnant After Show.
Gets me every time.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Let's enjoy it.
So fitting.
All right. What's up, everyone? Let's get this started. I know we don't want to turn down the J-beams.
I know, we're grooving over here.
I know. Well, I guess we'll have to get to work now. What's up, everyone? You're watching the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for 16 and Pregnant. It's the season 5 reunion.
Yep.
I'm Sterling Cates, and with me, the lovely Tiffany.
Hello.
How's it going, Tiffany?
Going good. I'm so sad that this season is over.
I know. I was just going to say, I feel like it's been a good, long season. We did get a lot of different moms. We have 12 moms total. So we'll just go through them individually, what we saw on this show. It's just kind of bringing them back on, seeing where they're at in their relationships, seeing where they are with their babies, how everything's going financially, the whole thing. And we got to see them all back, which was, it's always interesting to see how they look now compared to how they looked on the episodes, because even in the previews, I didn't recognize a lot of them.
I didn't either. I didn't recognize most of them, and it's like amazing what they look like post-pregnancy.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is evidence that going through a teen pregnancy is rough,
Right.
And you have no time to give a care about what you look like or any
Right.
of that. But they definitely looked refreshed, a lot of them,
Yeah.
even though they were still a little bit emotional throughout the episodes.
And it's definitely interesting to see how some of them look grown now. A lot of them look
know.
older than we do.
I know.
Yeah, especially, Savannah did.
Savannah did. Jasmine
And
also
Jasmine, yeah.
looked a lot older.
And even Aaliyah, for me, looked older.
Yeah, she did.
So, yeah, well, anyways, before we get into Ariana, because she was on first, I just want to mention Maria Menounos' new book, The Every Girl's Diet. Oh, I always say that. The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, which I just finished reading yesterday. It was a great book. It has lots of recipes, lots of interviews with celebrities, and it basically just outlines how to have a realistic, active lifestyle and shred some pounds while you're doing it.
It's like a fun get in shape plan.
Right.
And it also includes personal stories and interviews with celebrities and how they manage their own personal health.
Totally.
I love the book.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's not one of those crash diets that we're used to seeing. It's not like a 10-day thing. It's not, lose 28 pounds in 7 days.
Right.
It's a very realistic thing that all of us can do. So, yeah, with that said, let's move on into Ariana. So, what did you think of her?
For one thing, well, Dr. Drew is hosting this episode.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about him for a second.
And which was awkward for me because he's used to dealing with adults.
Right.
And so at some points it was kind of funny to see him on this level, and I don't know if he was actually taking them seriously or not, but
Yeah.
he did take the issue of teen pregnancy pretty seriously.
He did.
And he gave us a couple stats. He said that 1 in 8 girls will be a teen mom.
And 1,500 teens get pregnant every day. What?
What? And so, like,
that is crazy to me.
That is crazy. And so the major theme of this episode was, what are you doing now to protect yourself?
Right.
And,
what would you tell everyone else out there about either being abstinent or having safe sex, all of these things? Because obviously every single one of the moms they talked to were like, well, I mean, hindsight's 20/20. If I could
Right.
go back, I would have used a condom.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much the point of this reunion, is really just to show all of the viewers and all of the fans out there that this is a real life situation. Now they're dealing with babies. They've given up their teenage years. They're not graduating with their peers. They're not going to parties. They're not, doing all of this stuff that they wish they could be doing. And now they're taking on very adult responsibilities.
Right.
So I think this is more of a life lesson, a teaching moment And I think that's the whole point of this reunion show.
Absolutely. So we started off with Ariana and Maurice, and I think that they definitely decided to start with them on purpose because they were the most dramatic couple throughout that whole episode. And I remember going back to when you and I talked about Ariana's episode, I was in defense of Maurice the whole time.
And I said, and throughout this reunion show, I said, hey, Tiffany, remember that whole time, that whole hour we talked about it where you're defending him? How do you feel now? Are you still defending him?
I think you'd threatened me a little while ago. So I'm afraid to admit whether or not I'm defending him or not, but I'm going to say that maybe, but it's all on camera now if she decides to punch me like she threatened to. But okay, so Ariana.
I would never.
Ariana was still pissed. The same way she was during the episode and kind of holding this grudge against Maurice. But Maurice, like, I remember him being super mild when I watched his episode. And this time he had a bit more confidence about the whole thing. And it seems that, like, after he went back and watched his episode, he felt vindicated in some way. Like, he was right and she was wrong the whole time. Like, he even made the comment, like, everyone saw what you did during the episode. Like, he kind of made that clear that he felt right and she was wrong.
Tiffany. I just have to say, he is just so disrespectful. It just gets under my skin. I just truly cannot. And so, first of all, let's rewind for a second. So, they haven't seen each other in 3.5 months.
Right.
This is the first time Ariana and Maurice have seen each other, I think since the taping, they said. And, you know, she was saying you can't force someone to be a father. He's not being financially supportive or emotionally, for that matter. And she made the point that parenthood isn't something you can do when you feel like it. It's a all the time job, or I mean, what's the point for him? But he's not on the birth certificate. He doesn't have any rights to the kid, and I know that kind of irks you a little bit.
Well, his whole point was that she wasn't allowing him to see his son. Like, she's saying that he never comes around. He's saying that you don't let me come around.
Right.
So,
and to be fair, we don't really know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
We'll never know what's going on. But if it is a case where she is saying that you can't see your son, which is very well possible because we got a hint of that during their episode, then she is wrong. That's legally wrong for that. And another thing that happened during their episode was the pregnancy
DNA
test.
Yeah. Well,
or the DNA test.
Yeah.
That kind of enraged her a little bit about, you know, where he was coming from with this whole thing. And he basically wanted to do it because his family, you know, needed the proof that this was actually his kid. And so that whole thing caused a rift in their relationship that is still there.
Right. I definitely think that is something that she 100% resents. And I think, and we see it with another mom later, we'll talk about that. But I think it is, you know, it's kind of like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you don't trust me to think that this is your baby? So they get really defensive about it, and I guess I can see that point, but at the end of the day, you've got to let go of it. The child's here, someone's got to take care of it, you know?
Right.
But let's just talk about, he threw money on her.
He made it rain,
literally
on the baby mama.
Yeah, what in the world? I just cannot believe that. Not only, and it wasn't even that much money. It was like $21 bills.
Dr. Drew said, this is about enough to buy formula for a couple days.
Right.
And he's like, well, I just got more where that comes from. This is baby money. I've been on my job for a while now. I'm like,
yeah,
listen.
and then he goes, he has the audacity to go on and talk about how much his shoes cost. Oh, my foams cost $500, and like, look how much my watch costs. And meanwhile, he's not giving any money to the baby.
Right.
Like, he's buying money on those $500 shoes, on that watch. He's not, like, that doesn't buy diapers.
And then he's talking about having a credit union account.
Yeah.
With $3,200 in it
Cool.
for the kid. I don't know where
What
he
is
was
that gonna
going
buy?
with that, but whatever. You're going to need more where that came from.
Yeah.
And so at that point, she storms off the set, and it's just kind of awkward.
Yeah. Well, it just made me really uncomfortable and just kind of, I was just annoyed.
You were irked at him.
I was irked. But because he was just waiting to do that. You know, he
Right.
had that stack of money in his pocket waiting to just throw it on her.
It seemed a
on
little
national
planned.
television. Yeah,
He
it was
planned
totally
it.
planned. He's not walking around with that many $1 bills in his pocket.
Maybe he is.
Whatever.
what he
Anyways,
does.
she comes back on. and just says, see, this is what I'm talking about. He's disrespectful.
He's
he has
ghetto.
no home training. She calls him ghetto.
And ratchet.
Calls him ratchet. I mean, that's Marissa's favorite word, our engineer behind the booth. That is her favorite word. She can't deny it. She says it all the time. Anyways, enough about Marissa.
But he was acting a little bit ghetto. But still, like, I was happy to see his newfound confidence because I felt like he was a pushover.
Is that
the
confidence,
whole
though, or is that
episode.
just being immature?
It's definitely being immature, but he stood up for himself for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing that, even though
I mean,
horribly
it
tacky.
makes for good TV, but it's terrible to treat
There you
someone
go.
that way.
Well, she needs to lighten up on that boy.
Oh, my God. Anyways, what I'm most concerned about, I do think she needs to be a little more open to conversation with him. She can't completely block him out because at the end of the day, he is your baby daddy.
And it only hurts the baby.
And
when
it
she
does.
says that.
And you don't want the child to end up with no dad at all. And if he has $3,200, you know, that's something.
Right. That is something. What I was surprised to see was Dr. Drew siding with Maurice is what
Did
it
you think
kind of
he was?
seemed. It seemed like because he used words to describe Ariana like enraged and you're so enraged. Are you gonna get enraged again? It seems like he was being a little bit condescending to her.
Yeah, I think he was too.
So,
but I mean, at the same time, they were both being immature. They weren't sitting down and having an open conversation about this. But at the same time, they haven't seen each other since the episode.
Right.
So that's a lot of things and a lot of aggression to talk about and get out on national television. Like, I think they should have sat down before and kind of hashed out, you know, where are we in our relationship, what's going on. But again, they're teenagers.
that would be way too mature.
That
to
would
do.
be.
And
Sorry, I'm just so mature.
That
you know?
didn't happen one time during the episode, so we just kind of saw that playing itself out again.
Yeah.
So good luck with those two.
You know, needless to say, I don't really know where their relationship is headed at this point. Didn't really end on a high note.
Right.
But we did get to see the little baby at the end. This
Oh,
cute little nugget.
Cute little baby. I guess. I don't know.
Even though you don't like babies.
I'm not a baby fanatic at all.
All right. Well, so we don't really know where they're going to go. They're not together now, but I do hope that he is able to get involved with the kid. I think we all hope that.
Yeah, and I hope that they're able to have a civil conversation.
Yeah.
At least one or two.
Yeah.
Without
And
throwing
I think,
money.
and then when we did the recap, we talked about that too, how they, you know, we kind of saw that coming.
Right.
Where they weren't going to have sit down and have a mature conversation about it. But anyways, let's move on to Savannah. She was the second one we saw in the reunion. And her mom is an alcoholic, severely alcoholic. She has a younger brother, Ben. Her baby daddy's name is Stone. And throughout the episode, when we had talked about it before, he never really liked her mom. And I think rightfully so. You don't want, because Savannah lives in the house with her mom, who is a severe alcoholic.
Right.
And, I mean, you don't want your newborn in that environment.
Exactly. And when we watched the recap, Savannah, after watching it, was very upset. She cried, you know, a lot because it was a lot for her to deal with during the episode. And it was kind of a I told you so moment for Stone because he had been against her mom the whole time and saying, you know, I don't want my kid in that environment. And Savannah, it seems, has finally embraced the fact that her mother needs help and needs to clean up her act. And it was painful to watch her, you know, in so much pain over watching the episode because she said that it was something she's hidden for so long and now it's out in public.
Right. It's always hard to watch it back. And she definitely felt embarrassed. And she even mentioned how she feels like on national television, the way she handled it with her mom probably wasn't the best way to confront her mom about her addiction to alcohol and that. What do you think about that? I was thinking about that when we were watching it back. It's just like, wow, I wonder how her mom feels about being exposed, essentially.
I didn't
on the
like
show.
it. I didn't like it while watching it because I really hate seeing a kid take a parent role. And they totally switched roles, even though mom, you know, was not playing her part. I just didn't like seeing Savannah have to parent her mother. It just didn't sit well with me the whole time. And so I think that she kind of looked back on that and felt the same way.
Yeah. And you can tell that she loves her mother and that her mother loves her. It's just, you know, this one thing that her mom can't get over. And it sounds like it's something that she's still trying to deal with, but it seems like she's involved in the life. But let's talk about Stone for a little bit. He was there. It seems like he was a little upset because he Well, first of all, they're not in a relationship as of now. It seems like he is more willing to get back together with her. I think the episode was also really hard for him to watch because he had no idea that while they were broken up but trying to work things out, that Savannah was talking to other guys.
Well, Stone was very, during the episode, he was very arrogant, kind of treated her, he didn't treat her right. Like,
Right.
And she even said this, you made me feel worthless. You called, I
Well,
think
he called her
he called
worthless.
her
Right.
worthless and kind of treated her like she was nothing.
Right.
And he even, during the episode, was out picking up chicks and posting on Instagram, and she had to talk with him about
Right.
it. You know, like, this is disrespectful. I'm the mother of your child. I'm pregnant. I ask you respect that. But what he didn't know was that she kind of was doing the same thing.
And of course, he didn't bring that up on the reunion. He definitely played the victim role. I felt like he didn't bring up anything that he did. He was just like, wow, I had no idea she was going out
Right.
and talking to other guys.
And I don't even think he was justified in feeling like a victim considering the way that he treated her.
I agree. And but so he was saying he wants to get back together, but she could not get over how he treated her during her pregnancy, like you said, calling her worthless. But she was really emotional about how she felt proud to be his baby mama,
Right.
even though she is a teenager and giving up so much of her life to do that. And for him to treat her so poorly, I think that's something she's still having a hard time getting over, which is why they're not together now.
I think it's definitely something that she's having a hard time getting over, and it doesn't seem like she is going to get over it because I think he asked her if she's dating someone else now, and it seems like she is.
Yeah.
So,
But they're still trying to co-parent, and like with all the other moms, Dr. Drew is asking them about what are they doing for birth control now, or what would they say to, teens out there that are watching. And she just said that she never thought it would happen to her. And obviously she's advocating that other people use birth control.
right. Savannah was definitely one of the more mature mothers that we saw during this season, and the fact that they know they have to be on the same page for the baby makes a lot of difference than all of the other couples that we saw today.
Right.
Like, they seem to be, even though they had their differences, they seem to be trying to work towards.
And even when we were watching, I looked over at you and I said, wow, she is so mature. She's handling this so well. Even when we were doing the flashbacks to the episode, because it has been a while since we saw it.
Right.
And just how she's handling everything with her mother. And, even that sit down with her and her mom in the kitchen when she said, I thought we were in this together. I was just like, wow, she is very well spoken. And she's handling this with a lot of maturity and a lot of grace because it's really hard.
And I think the situation that she was in forced her to grow up early. Like, she basically raised herself because her mother was an alcoholic throughout her childhood. And the one thing that she wanted most was that her mother clean up her act for her younger brother.
Yeah.
And so that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. And then the whole calling the police on your mother thing.
I mean, that's not an easy decision.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I feel like it might have been a wake-up call.
Definitely.
For her mom,
for all parties involved. I think that they all, like, looking back at that episode, I think they all learned a lot about themselves and each other.
Right. And it was nice to see that Stone was there with bells and whistles.
Right.
We always love to see, that support there from the
And even
from
when
the
she
father.
was crying, like, he put the hand on the leg, was very sentimental.
Right.
And I don't know. I want them to work it out because I thought they were a cute couple.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't see why that wouldn't happen, but guess
We'll
they'll have to do another reunion show.
Right. Just have to follow them on Twitter.
Yeah, seriously. All right, well, let's get into our third mom, Jordan. She was the one with Derek, and they were homeless for a little while. She lived with her parents, but they kicked Derek out. And she kind of made the choice to leave with him.
Right.
Because it was either they were going to be together or not at all. Or, like, she wasn't going to be there.
Right. And so in leaving, that ended up with them being homeless and looking for a place to stay the whole episode and relying heavily on help from what ended up being a lady named Tracy, who was Derek's dad's friend. And we saw her couch surfing and sleeping on floors throughout the episode. And after they showed the clips, she came back to her and she was very emotional as well, crying. And
well, it's got to be hard to look back on that time in your life knowing it was really hard, especially you're not being able to take care of your baby, being 100% reliant on other people. kind of financially and for a home and for your bills and all this stuff. So she said they did move to Texas with his dad, but now they're having to move back to Maryland because Derek has a scholarship there to go to school, and they don't want to lose that scholarship.
Right.
So again, they're going to have to rely on family friends for where they're going to live. I think they're still trying to work that out.
Right. She said that they actually are still relying heavily on other people.
Right.
But it seems like they're doing a lot better. She looks great.
She looks great. And they do seem very appreciative. They don't seem like they're taking any of it for granted. But she did say she's finding it very upsetting that she couldn't support her child by herself. And but also very appreciative that people are stepping up to help. She's now on birth control. He was the one that didn't like condoms.
Right.
So she was like on and off with birth control, but was trying to switch, but hadn't at the time she got pregnant. He hated condoms. That's how they got pregnant. But now she's back on birth control and is about to switch, and she's breastfeeding or something.
Right.
But hopefully, now he'll like start to use condoms.
Well, he said that condoms are a lot like punishment. They feel like punishment.
Yeah, and he said now it feels like punishment, especially now to have a baby. But Dr. Drew, I don't know, he just suggested that the men practice using condoms so that they know how to use it when that time comes around. So thanks, Dr. Drew, for that little tidbit of info.
I was glad to see them still together, though. They were definitely a couple I thought would make it through all of it.
Yeah.
Because, she did take a big step in leaving her family when they kicked him
Totally.
out. So that forced them to rely heavily on each other.
And at the time, I got to admit, when I, saw the episode and saw what was going on, I was just like, it's not smart for her to leave this house. I was kind of upset about that. But now that I'm seeing where they are, they say the baby's happy and healthy, everything's fine. And they're together and stronger than ever, it seems.
And it seems like she's also patching up the relationship with her parents. They've seen the baby and seen pictures. They're still not on the best of terms, but...
Right. I think it's a slow process, but hopefully they'll get there. And, because at the end of the day, family's all you got,
I know.
So let's move on to Summer and DJ. So DJ is...
they were the sweetest couple.
They are the Southern peaches.
So full disclosure, during this episode, Sterling was like, what are they saying?
And it totally brought my Southern out. I even turned to you and I was more Southern than I've been since I've moved out here. Exactly. Yeah.
Because I remember watching it and just being super happy to hear Southerners because they were so genuine.
Right.
I love Southerners.
But even for me watching this, I had to read the captions because I was thinking I was missing stuff on what they were saying. But anyways, other than their accents. So they talk about a little bit how they had gotten in an argument. He invited another girl over to the house where they both live. And
this is the most dysfunctional cheating story.
Cheated on her with, in their own home. She comes home while they were leaving, him and this woman.
She comes home and the girl has on
his jacket with nothing on underneath.
And she's like, I don't know why I didn't think that there was something weird about this situation. I just wanted her to take off his jacket.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And then she's like, but I don't got anything on under it. That's like exactly what she said. But anyway, so she takes it off and then is like walking through his mom, or is it her mom's? I don't know which.
I think it was their house, actually.
Yeah, and anyways, the house that they're raising their child in, and just her bra, and then she's like, okay, can you put a shirt on, please?
Oh, my God.
But
and she
anyway,
ended up walking all the way home in her bra. But it was so weird because Summer told this story with a smile.
Yeah, well, people do that when they're uncomfortable.
Right.
Just kind of like how people, when they're uncomfortable or they're about to cry, they laugh, or, laugh when they feel awkward.
She was laughing through the pain because that eventually turned to tears.
Exactly. I think she was just trying to hide it. She's on national TV, and it just might be her response to those sorts of situations.
he apparently has apologized millions of times.
Right.
And he seemed very apologetic during the episode, knowing that he screwed up. I remember reading about this when the episode happened, and he said that he cheated only because he thought that she was cheating. So I don't really know how you justify cheating.
Don't they all say that?
But it seems like he's trying to do better, and she wants to forgive him.
Right.
But I don't know that she has yet.
I think she's still working through it, but regardless, they're still together. Her mom still has the drug problems. They mentioned, well, she was supposed to be there today. She didn't show up. But that was pretty much all they really talked about that. But he did mention that the baby makes him feel like he has a purpose in life. And I think that he does feel bad about cheating on her. But I hope they work it out, and they seem like they kind of get along. They seem like they have some sort of connection that's keeping them together.
I think it's because she's so sweet and mild-mannered.
So sweet.
And it just wants to be a forgiving person.
Right.
And I think Dr. Drew also called her a very forgiving person.
Yeah, he said that several times.
Like, even
he's like, wow, you're very forgiving.
Right. Even
Yeah.
with her mom. Like, her mom, she was like, you can't trust her. You can't depend on her. You can't depend on her for anything, which was like a sad sort of afterthought when you're thinking about your mom.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's just, all of these things are aspects of her life that she's just come to terms with.
Embraced
And she's just dealing with it. And really, sometimes that's harder than, holding a grudge or whatever it is.
Right, especially when a baby is in the picture. Like, you don't have time for holding grudges.
Totally.
You have to raise that kid.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Autumn. Her and Dustin is the one who is a big weed smoker.
Yeah.
And Autumn hates it.
He said, I smoke weed every day.
All day. Yeah. And he's still doing it, even though Autumn absolutely hates it.
Right.
But she says that things are better. They are still together, but they've been on and off. He has 2 jobs, but he has cheated on her twice. And that was even after the baby was born.
That was a little weird because I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like twice before the baby and then another time after the baby. But they did say 2 times, so I'm assuming it was somewhere in there. But regardless, it was even after the baby was born.
Oddly enough, they have broken up twice already, or a few times.
Yeah.
But they are together now, trying to work through all of these discrepancies. And he never really said why he cheated. But apparently they knew the girl, or she knew the girl that they cheated with. They had all hung out together and everything. And so that was kind of awkward. But what was also awkward was that she told the story with a smile.
Yeah.
And Dr. Drew made note
I feel like
of
a lot
that.
of them did that.
But she said that this is I'm going to kick you in the butt smile.
Yeah, exactly. But he lives at her house. He's still smoking, says he doesn't smoke around her. And that was pretty much it with them.
He threatened to leave, or she threatened to leave if he got caught smoking.
But he just told her that he smokes every day, all day.
Which makes no sense.
And she had mentioned that she had looked through his phone and he had plans to go smoke and hook up with this other girl. So, I mean, that relationship isn't the healthiest.
I had no idea why she was still with him.
I think it's for the baby. I really do.
Right.
Even though he kind of seems not helpful.
He seems like he's going to do what he wants to do regardless.
Right.
And she still hasn't really figured that out yet.
I completely agree. All right, let's move on to Courtney and Scott. They're the ones who decided to remain abstinent. That was kind of her plan before they got pregnant, and then
she was very Christian.
Right.
Ended up having sex, regretting it greatly, and tried to go back to her Christian roots during the episode, which caused the rift in their relationship, and Scott was kind of not on board with it, because it's like you can't have sex and then cut it off. For guys, it's a lot harder.
Right. But yeah, so he did say, I'm dealing with it just as any other guy would, but he was like, but I like her, so I'm going to stick in with, and they have a baby. So, I mean, he has a lot to stick with here. They are still together. She talked a lot about missing normal stuff that teenagers do. Mm-hmm. And that's also a good point for all the viewers to see that, your life does change very drastically when you get pregnant.
Right, but they were very sweet to each other, and it seems like they are working through most things. He mentioned that also that he didn't realize how expensive babies are, and as they get older, they only get more expensive, and a lot of the fights that they have now are over money.
Right.
Which seems pretty normal.
Yeah. And she's kind of spent her life going through these procedures for her cleft lip, and now the baby has the same problem, but they did say it is a very minor problem, and he'll be getting his first surgery for it soon.
Right.
So that's happening. So we, hope everything with that goes well. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be as severe as hers.
No, it's definitely a minor.
Right. So that's good. They're getting it taken care of. But the hard part is that it's considered a cosmetic surgery now instead of a necessary one. So insurance won't cover it completely.
And they have no idea what they have to pay for it.
Right.
They just have to get the surgery and get a bill for it.
Right. And they're already struggling financially, as most teen parents do.
Right.
So it's, you think about all the normal stuff you have to buy, diapers, wipes, food, formula, all this stuff. You think about all that, but you never really think, well, what if the baby has health defects? Or what if, all these other health payments that you have to make in addition to all the normal stuff that you have to buy. So that's just additional stress.
But it seems like they're managing it pretty well. And so I'm kind of looking forward to what they get into as adults. And, it seems like they have a pretty solid foundation so far. So I think they'll be good.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems like her family is kind of, accustomed to having to deal with some of these health issues since it's hereditary, and that's the whole thing. All right, let's get into Molina and Trevor. So during the episode, her mom was incarcerated. She's been in rehab, but she just got out. She said the last week. So she was in rehab, met a boyfriend, and that she met in rehab, which is totally not allowed.
Right.
You're not supposed to be in any sort of romantic relationships with people in rehab with you, because I think that's just a huge distraction.
Right.
But anyway, her mom's boyfriend, had passed away.
On her birthday.
On her mom's birthday.
Right.
So she says that her
Drama.
mom, so that's, that's a lot, especially for someone who is getting over addictions and rehab and that whole thing. So Melina's definitely scared that her mom will relapse. She says she's in a good place right now going to meetings. So I think they're just keeping a close eye on her as far as that goes.
And then there was Trevor's mom, who Molina, throughout the episode, fought with a lot because Molina didn't trust Trevor's mom to be around the baby. She was emotionally unstable, but now it seems like she has another condition where it's like a vein.
Head trauma.
Yeah, in her head, and she's taking seizure medicines and all kind of other medicines, but it seems like she's doing a lot better, and Molina, and their relationship is a lot better.
Right.
Because Molina's helping her manage the medicines that she has to take. So that was definitely a positive.
Yeah, it was nice to see that kind of they're making some progress with their health, with their relationship. They mentioned that co-parenting is weird since they're just friends, but it looks like they're working on getting back together, but they're taking it slow.
They were holding hands. Dr. Drew asked them if they were hooking up, and she said yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't have the title yet.
Right.
But
I think they're taking things slower, getting back into it.
Right.
And she has Implanon, which is the 3-year, it's like in your arm.
Implant birth control.
Right, which is,
Sounds invasive, but seems
It does.
popular.
When you're going to continue to be sexually active and you already have a child, it seems probably like the best thing to do at that point. All right, let's get into Maddie. So she hasn't talked to Cody since the episode. He had also asked for a DNA test, but he won't pay for it.
Right, and she doesn't have any money.
Yeah. And she lives with her father, and this Cody character had gotten another girl pregnant who he's currently dating. He's currently dating this girl, but he got the girl he's currently dating pregnant
Around
2
the
months.
same time.
Yeah, around the same time. It was 2 months before he got Maddie pregnant, but he didn't know, apparently.
What was
That's he
weird
said.
about them is that they hadn't even gone on a date before
Right.
they had gotten pregnant, which was weird.
Yeah, they just
they didn't know each
think it was
other.
like a one-night stand type
Right.
thing.
And so that definitely showed in this recap
That they don't know each
they
other.
don't know each other. They don't have any feelings whatsoever for each other, and it's just complete dysfunction all the way around.
Right.
And so Maddie was super emotional because she feels guilty because she wants her kid to have a dad.
Right.
And at this point he doesn't.
Right. And this guy, Cody, is only concerned with the DNA test. I mean, I can see this because it was a one-night stand. They didn't know each other. He doesn't know if she was being sexually active with anyone else, which, very well could have been the case.
Right.
So for him to want a DNA test isn't crazy. Whereas Maurice, they had been dating it was like they were a thing, you know. This is a little different because they didn't even really know each other. So I can see that. I don't understand why, if this is the only thing he's concerned with, because he's not being supportive right now at all. And he says he will be once he knows for sure the baby's his. Okay, I can see that. If you want a DNA test that bad, you should pay for it.
Yes and no.
Because she can't afford it. She's already had the baby. She's already financially supporting this baby. I can kind of see what Dr. Drew is saying about them splitting it and then him paying for the whole thing if it's, in fact, his.
And that's the resolution that they reached on the show, which is progress, even though it didn't seem like they would stick to it.
Right.
But they kind of...
She didn't seem 100%
into it because she was like, he doesn't stick to his word at all, so why would I believe, you know, anything that he says? I think she feels like she's going to get shafted and have to pay for everything anyways.
Right.
So, because that's just kind of been the nature of everything up to this point.
Right. And if in her heart she knows, like, if she hadn't been hooking up with anyone else, like she said she wasn't, she said she didn't plan this one thing to happen, but I don't think she was hooking up with anyone else, so she doesn't feel like she needs to pay for it because she knows 100% that it's Cody's.
Right, but if she wants
he's not
to
so sure.
get some sort of support for that baby, she's going to have to bite the bullet and get a DNA test.
Because in the long run, it'd be worth it.
Right, and it's sad that it comes to that, but what are you going to do?
I know. All right, well then the next part of the episode, they bring out Savannah, Carly, Aaliyah, and Jasmine all together. And they just kind of briefly go through these last four. So we'll just talk about them each really quickly. Savannah, her and Maui, who isn't the baby daddy, but they were kind of talking while she was pregnant. They're still close friends. Not really sure if that's going to lead anywhere, but it seems like since he's sticking around, he might want it to.
It doesn't seem like she has any interest in him whatsoever. And I remember when you and I were talking about it, we were on Team Maui. He seems like a perfect catch, but she's just not feeling it.
I think she's traumatized by this whole experience because she's just so, her demeanor is just like, I never want to be in a relationship again.
That's what it would seem like until we hear from her aunt who's sitting in the audience and she's like, okay, well, I went on vacation for 3 weeks and I know that boy came around.
Right.
Her baby daddy.
The baby daddy came back around who never responded to, first of all, I just want to remind everyone, he never responded to her text messages that said she was pregnant, all of this stuff. So he was never there. And the fact that now he is post-show, but only when the aunt's gone.
Right. It's something very fishy about the situation. And Savannah was not denying anything while she's being put on the spot. Right. I don't know if that's just her nature or if she knows that something is going on.
Right. I feel like that's her nature, but also we don't know if she was, because when the aunt said, I think they did hook up, I mean, she didn't really say anything to deny it, so we don't really know.
Well, then Eli, it turns out, also has 6 kids.
Yeah. Well, Savannah said, I think he has like 3 kids, and the aunt's like, no, he at least has 7 kids by different people. So regardless, we don't really know what's going on there, but Savannah was saying she's not looking for a relationship. She's not looking to be sexually active anytime soon. Okay, let's talk about Carly. She has twins. She's living with Tony in a townhome, so they have their own place now, which is really great to see. She said that he's working full-time. Her mom was a little worried about her, as you know, most moms probably would be, but everything's going pretty well.
Right, they were pretty brief. I think they were the briefest recap on this episode.
The moral of that story is they're doing great.
Great.
Babies are good. They're good. He's got a full-time job. They have their own place. You know, they're like real people now. So let's talk about Aaliyah. She started off she talked a lot about how she was concerned about how there's a lot of teen pregnancy because teens don't have the education about birth control that they need. She also has the implant in her arm, which is the 3-year thing, but the 3-year birth control. But she also talked about her diabetes and how it is a health risk, not only on herself, but during giving birth. It can really mess up the baby as far as the sugar levels and the blood pressure and all this stuff. So Sean is thinking about getting a vasectomy, after her birth control is up in 3 years.
Right. She was very emotional during this episode, and she also was one of the more mature mothers that we saw this season. What was interesting was that Sean was considering a vasectomy at such a young age, like they're only in their teens.
Yeah.
But she's like, if I have another kid, I foresee my organs failing on me,
Right.
a kidney or a liver or something.
And that's got to be really hard, because even if she did want kids, she does have these health risks that are bad for her and for the baby. We're running out of time here, so let's just talk about Jasmine really quick. She says she does not talk to Dell anymore. He's not involved, doesn't provide any financial support. The only thing she's heard from him is he knocked on the door and threw a bag of diapers there. They were completely the wrong size, not helpful. But she says she is talking to someone and taking it slow. And that was pretty much...
She definitely learned her lesson, I think, from all of it. So it's good to see that she was in a positive space, because during the episode she was definitely feeling regretful.
Yeah, and she looked grown.
She looked like
good.
a grown woman.
Yeah, she did. She looked good. So yeah, that was it from our 12 moms that we've recapped this whole season. It's been a great season 5. It's really nice to see where they all are now. It seems like they're all doing pretty well for the most part. I'm glad to see that all the babies are happy and healthy, and at the end of the day, that's really what matters.
Right.
We just need everyone to step up.
Stop arguing.
And stop arguing.
And wrap it up.
Yeah.
Wear a condom.
Wrap it up. Be safe. Get that birth control. I cannot believe 1,500 teens get pregnant every day. That's crazy to me. All right, Tiffany, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tiff's Tweets, TIFFC, TWEETZ.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Gates. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us for Season 5, 16 and Pregnant. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.